I fixed the screen on my old iPhone 6, and I fixed Cheryl's battery. I tore them
awesome.
right apart.
And so they're both working fantastically, I hope.
As far as I know.
Hey,
They'll have screwdrivers will travel.
so far we're a small group and we are actually starting. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I am Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions. And did anybody bring any topics today? I did send out a document of possible topics.
My topic is that I sent you the picture of Tequila's room and you haven't shared it with people.
I'm a bad man. I'm a bad man.
And did you
And I have a question.
Did you find the song I sent you?
The song. Paul, where do you
The
send
blue
this
collar-
stuff?
I sent it to one of your emails.
Yeah, it's probably my fault. I've got so many emails.
It might be your professional email.
Well, that would be very professional of me to have not found it.
Well, I have a question about Google Meet.
Please,
When I went
go ahead.
to log in today, it said that I had the option of using companion mode, and it's telling me that you are using companion mode right now.
I have been playing around with this, and I think I've found a way to incorporate both of these using companion mode. I'm going to start a presentation right now. I think like this, and this. And so by doing it in this manner,
Oh,
Whoa, nice.
I have been able to spread the processing across two different computers. So my Macintosh is presenting, and my Windows laptop is doing the meet.
very cool.
That's very nice. You can read everything. Normally, when you present something, you can hardly read it.
Now we need Linda here so that she can see it.
So yeah, I thought we might try this out today and see how well we do. And I'm looking at Paul's picture right here. Let me forward that. I'm going to do this right now.
Oh, it also says I can double tap to pin up to 3 people at a time.
Oh, that's new too.
No, I think that's on yours. I think you're sharing that. It says you can double tap.
I don't know where you'd be seeing that.
Oh no, it was on my. Oh, now I've lost your presentation. It was so nice and big.
It's because you're.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
I can play the song and you guys will hear it.
You can do what?
I can play the song and you guys will hear it.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Let's see how it works. Right here.
Oh, Judy was here and then she left.
She seemed
Somebody
to be
heard your
involved in
feelings.
some conversation. I don't know what she was doing.
Yeah, she was on the phone, but yeah.
Well, I rise every morning at 7:45. Some woman who's my wife tells me not to be late. I kiss goodbye, I can't remember their names. And week after week, it's always the same. It's old boys, can't you code it? Program it right. Nothing ever happens in this life of mine. I'm holding up the date on the Xerox line. Code in the day to give the keyboard a punch. Say drums, correlate, and a break for some lunch. Correlate, tabulate, process, and screen. Program, print out, progress to the mean. It's old boys, can't you code it? Program it right. Nothing ever happens in this life of mine. I'm hauling up the data on the Xerox line. Yeah, it's home again, eat again, watch some TV, make love to my woman at 10:53. I dream the same dream when I'm sleeping at night. I'm soaring over the hills like an eagle in flight, and it's home boys, can't you code it? Program clock until it can't ring. Burn up my necktie and set myself free. Cause no one's gonna hold me or mutilate me. This whole boy's getting loaded. Program it right. Nothing ever happens in this life of mine. I'm calling up the date on the Xerox line. And this whole boy's getting loaded. Program it right. Nothing ever happens in this life of mine. I'm calling up the date on the Xerox line.
Well, thank you, Paul. You've probably just gotten our meeting taken off of YouTube.
Oh, really?
We probably just violated somebody's copyright. Hey, Chester. Hey, Pop. Good to see you guys. We were just getting rolling, looking for topics.
Bill, who was that singing?
That was you.
No, it was not me.
It wasn't
It
you.
wasn't me.
Folk singer.
Oh God, I don't know.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Dan Rogers.
Dan Rogers.
Stan Rogers. Yeah.
Dan Rogers, is he a recommendation?
He certainly is.
Okay. I'm not familiar with the name. Am I supposed to know who he is?
Dan, well, listen, they have a Stan Fest in Nova Scotia every year celebrating his music. He died in a plane crash.
Huh? Folk
You
singer.
might remember the plane crash. It was in Minnesota or someplace like that. The plane came in and overshot the runway, a commercial plane.
Is he Canadian?
I didn't remember.
That's another story.
Well, what are we doing? I have got a new presentation mode that I'm playing around with. And I've sent out a link to our document earlier, but here we'll put it in. We'll put it in the in-call messages. Can I do that? I can. That's cool. For our possible topics for today's meeting. The 28th, Tuesday the 28th. If you guys have been following my podcast, you've been following nothing because I'm 5 episodes behind. At one point, Emily and I recorded one long intro. I've divided it into 3 intros, and I still haven't published that with our previous meetings. And now this will be 2 more behind. So I'm 5 in total behind. I've had to.
Don't you have a podcast about running a bed and breakfast?
That's what I should be doing. That way I could combine my time. I've had to divide my time between paying jobs, and the podcast is not one of them.
Scott, you've watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, haven't you?
Oh yes, that's an awesome movie.
Yeah. Well, Cheryl's in love with podcast, the little guy.
Oh yeah.
And, I love the fact he had 1 follower, and it was one of the Ghostbusters.
Yeah. He was my favorite character as well.
Him and the young girl, they were both pretty awesome characters. I liked her jokes.
I'm putting it on the recommendation list. I want to watch it again.
I'm up to 4 times now.
4 You're a fanatic, Cheryl.
Well, we watch it with our grandchildren.
But
We watch it once
also,
by ourselves.
I also have a personal connection to the landscape and the buildings and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So,
of course.
That's where I lived and I taught in that town. So
That's like if you live in San Carlos, you can't help but appreciate the movie Zorro because you can see the beaches and the land.
Catch-22.
Or Catch-22. That's right.
It's one of our go-to places when we have visitors. We take them to Catch-22. Only if they're 40 years and older.
Ah.
You show them the movie?
Ugh.
Oh God, we've tried to watch it after we went the first time, and we couldn't hack it. It's just a terrible movie.
It's a condemnation of war.
Oh yeah, of course, but it's just painful to watch, if you ask me.
I could never figure it out.
Well, that was one of the points, Chester. You weren't supposed to figure it out.
That's the catch.
Yeah, that's one of the catches.
The catch is he claimed he was going crazy, and the catch 22 was you have to be crazy to be in a war.
Well,
But
thank you,
can't-
Paul.
you
You
can't be
just
crazy if
summed
you
up
want
that
out.
the whole premise of that movie. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a two-part. Catch 22 is a two-part. It says, in order to get out of the army, you have to be crazy. But if you want to get out of the army, you can't be crazy. You're sane.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
You're not crazy. Yeah.
You're not crazy if you want to get out.
No, but you have to be crazy to get out. Unless you do Mash's Klinger's Section 88 or whatever it was.
Right? Actually, that's
Which
probably
I watched.
that's the
rewatched
embodiment
the
of
old
it.
MASH the other day. The movie itself.
the original.
Yeah. With the whole theme song,
Oh God, yeah.
"Suicide is Painless."
Suicide is painless. And I read somewhere that the TV series is much funnier if you watch it without the laugh track. Now I find that you can only get it without the laugh track on CD. You can't get it. You can't find it anywhere on the cable with it.
Oh no.
That's a show I haven't watched since before I was a teenager. I'm really curious what it would look like to me now as an adult.
The TV series or the movie?
The TV series.
It's still funny.
Yeah, it's still funny.
I don't think you have to live through the Korean War to appreciate it.
Oh no, you got the Vietnam War, you got the Desert Storm. They all have field hospitals, and it transfers really well.
I do remember watching Aftermath, MASH. That didn't last very long. With Klinger and the Colonel.
I don't remember.
You don't remember they tried to do a spin-off of MASH called After MASH.
Swan Song.
Say again?
Swan Song. I don't know what
Swan
a swan
song,
song
yes.
really means, but Bill probably knows. Or Chester.
Well, have you folks brought any tech questions, problems we have to solve, news you found interesting? Bill sent me this meme from Facebook. In fact, I am doing this presentation thing. Let me turn that back on because I have it right up in front of me.
I would
Turn
just
this
like
on.
everybody to notice, one moment.
Go ahead.
Oh, she's in Tequilas.
There you go. I did send out Paul's picture to everybody.
I got my granddaughter racing in the background, BMX racing.
There you go. So okay, this is what I was talking about. Bill sent this to me earlier. These are, what is it? Techniques for using Google. And as I read through it, some of them I think are still valid. Keep that one.
Oh, vertical. Oh.
And so it talks about how to include like mathematical formulas in doing your Google searches to try and get a more intelligent search. What we're looking at right here is if you wanted to include an or, you could use one of these vertical bars. But I also think you can use the word or.
Yeah, yes, you can. This is a throwback to 19 '66 when I took symbolic logic as a prerequisite to computer science, and we did all kinds of math. It is exactly this on a lot of them. When
I've
you're
had
writing
good
out
luck.
when
I've had good luck putting in part numbers and model numbers.
Yeah.
It comes right to you.
Here's something that I hadn't realized would work is 2 periods to do a range of numbers. You see, they use the example Googling movies 1980 ... 2000. In a perfect world, I guess Google would spit out only movies within that range.
That'd be a lot.
Location, I've used that before. Location, colon. In this case, in that example, they say San Francisco, but if you're looking for something specific to a location. This actually may be handy. What I've noticed this last year back, or this last summer back to Alaska is I, on my phone, on my laptop, on my computer, on my tablet, there is no confusion. Even though I spend most of my time in Mexico, all my results are Alaskan results just by default. It's you guys have probably experienced that as well. We have people complain about that when they get to Mexico trying to figure out how to do English searches because it goes into Spanish. But I have to say I've never been so very aware of it on every device that I own. Even maybe this is what's got me talking about it. Even my podcast catcher, the app I use called Podcast Addict. One of the reason they exist as an application is because they're able to. I'm sorry, I'm saying it about them, and it's actually the podcast producer that's able to integrate advertising into the podcast. And so I've got a third-party app, downloading it to my phone, but when it comes to me to listen to, it has infused local advertising into it. Because it knows I'm in Alaska, the podcast I'm listening to is advertising for the local radio stations. And I can tell how long it's been since I've downloaded something because I have some podcasts I downloaded before I left Mexico and some others that I downloaded while I was in Arizona. And the advertising is different in each one of those locations. Bringing this back to a Google search result, that's kind of cool to be able to specify the location that you want to do results from, since everything is so smart at knowing where you are at the moment.
My question is, how do you pronounce his last name?
Musk?
No, Chris something up there at the top.
Whoever's providing these. Ladsuck.
Flat Chuck or something like that.
File type, colon. We should find a whole list of these. I wonder how easy.
Google shortcuts.
Search. Expression. Google search. If there's anything out there that just give us a whole list of the complete list. 42. I think this is the one. Site, file type, related. I've used site quite a bit. When you want to search for something on a specific website, maybe that website doesn't have very good SEO or ranking, so it's not coming up in the first 10 results, but you can tell it exactly which site that you're searching information for. Have you guys all had that experience where you're on a website looking for something and you can't find it? So you go out to Google to do the search and it finds it better on that site than that site's own search mechanism? I run into that all the time. This site colon is a great way to specify exactly which site that you're searching for. I lost it. There it is. Never used related. Or well, this is great. Find someone's phone book. Did you guys know that? That's a new one on me. Jeez, did that work? Go to Google.
Oh.
Phone book, colon, and the name you're looking for. Phone book. Wow.
That'll probably bring you a lot of different numbers, though.
Yeah, and I don't have a specific.
Maybe it includes more information about them, like city or something like that.
Yeah, what's nice about me is that there's a number of Scott Stimsons out there, so none of these results are me. I don't see anything pushing out phone numbers here. Like I just did phone book Anchorage walkabout town. Maybe I should combine it with double quotes to specify that all this. Oh, it did bring me, I guess it did bring me to our contact us page. Yeah, I don't know. Some of these might get better mileage than others. I'll stick it on a link on our document if anybody wants to play around with them. What happened? Did I turned off presentation? I must have hit the wrong button somewhere. But Google search techniques as the meme, and then here's a link to search operators, which looks like a very inclusive list of things that you can do to narrow your Google searches. Google search operators, the complete list. I guess it's from 2020, so maybe compare, really, and that works. Compare.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, I use versus or VS when I'm trying to compare CPUs or computer laptops or webcams. I use the letters VS, and I tend to find articles that are specifically intended for that comparison, bringing two products together and comparing them. Is that how compare has worked for you, Chester?
Yes. Out there.
Uh-oh.
One of the problems I'm having with Google, there are two problems. One is every time I do a search, I get ads first.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's kind of new. It used to not be that way. And the other thing I don't quite understand is often I will get all the letters and I'm trying to find the word, the icons enlarged. Everything is enlarged. And it's, instead of typical font size.
Well, I'm not familiar with the font size changing. That sounds like almost like a preference. Have you tried using Google from a different web browser to see if it's doing the same thing to you?
No, I haven't tried that, but I should do that.
Yeah, just to verify that. Is it sounds like the kind of thing that you would narrow down to a specific web browser preference.
But it doesn't do it all the time, just occasionally.
That's really strange. It does not sound like normal behavior.
No. Of course,
But the ads, you got to live with the ads. In fact, I don't know if you've noticed on my screen, I'm making a valiant attempt to switch to what's it called? The duck, man, the DuckDuckGo. That's what I've been using. Because the ads are insidious. When I've been doing research on Google, half the first page is just full of sponsored ads.
Well, the ads are even showing up in my Gmail.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting, it seems like it's only on my iPhone. I don't know if I've seen it on my laptop, but there'll be these messages and they're from, things that I don't even know. And I realize they're ads.
Yeah. Well, just the amount of screen real estate that ads are taking on a typical Google search now.
Yeah.
Playing with it right now. Oh, they heard us talking about it. They're not putting any. What would provoke an ad? How about webcam security?
Put in Alaska B&B and see if you don't get some ads.
Oh yeah. Be nice if one of the first ones was us. Now I can't get any ads to show up. You're making me a liar, Google. I put in Anchorage, I think. There we are. Number 2. Anchorage Walkabout Town. I'm just doing a subtle plug for our business.
There you go.
Look at that. TripAdvisor, the 10 best Anchorage bed and breakfasts of 2022. That's a picture of our business right there beside that. That's pretty awesome. Didn't even know that existed. Tooting my own horn. Didn't know I had a horn. Pretty cool. Anyway, Google searches. If you want to do them more successfully, there's an article here about how to add more refinement to it.
So do we get a San Carlos Computer Club discount if we come to your bed and breakfast?
Oh, absolutely. You get the San Carlos discount. I give everybody an immediate 10% off for coming to the bed and breakfast. No questions asked.
Oh.
Hey, one of my topics, I wanted to tell you guys about this device. This Roku streaming stick 4K. I've told you about the TV experience we've had with the Roku TVs. I've been very happy with them. They've provided hundreds of channels just for free the moment they're connected to the internet. So we've got this old Toshiba flat screen in our guest house. And I had hooked up a Roku 2 to it and tried to have the same experience, and it was miserable. I had at least 2 different customers complain about it. They couldn't make the TV work. The truth is they could make the TV work, but you have to have so much patience to make the TV work that it feels like it's broken. And I knew exactly how to drive it, and I would be working with the customer going, just have to be patient. And I'm like gritting my teeth as I'm trying to make it work. And so I finally broke down and bought this device. I got it at a better price than what's listed there. I think I got it for $39 when I bought it, and that was just a couple of days ago. I showed up in just a couple of days, and I hooked it up, and it was just the miracle cure for my problem. What was beautiful about it was it recognized the screen. It's a stick behind the screen. And so the remote control does volume, does power on. The only feature that I wish that it did that the Roku TVs do, and I've since learned you can only get that feature in the Roku TVs, is that the Roku TVs, when they turn on, they immediately switch to streaming channels. The same way your typical TV would if you had cable or satellite. You turn it on and all of a sudden there'd be a live feed of content coming at you. The Roku TVs are able to do that. You can set the power buttons so that when you first turn them on, they just go to the lineup of free channels. And this device, these streaming sticks or streaming boxes by Roku, they won't do that when plugged into a non-Roku TV. I mean, I'm sorry, that almost made it sound like you would use two in conjunction. And you wouldn't. We're using this because it's not a Roku TV. But everything else was awesome about it. Started up real fast. All the apps seem to run real fast. And the free live TV, hundreds of free live TV channels come through. And what's beautiful is it's taken over the power and the volume controls of the TV set. So for my guests, I just have to leave out one controller. This is compared to another device called the 4K Plus. And that's about $20 more. In fact, you can see it at the top of the screen here. And the only thing that I could find different about the 4K and the Plus was the remote control that comes with it. And the $20, you'd have to decide whether that extra $20 is worth it or not. That remote control that comes with it allows you to plug a headset into it so that you can listen to the audio through a pair of wired headsets. It also has shortcut buttons on it for typical features that you might be using, typical channels you might. I didn't think it made any sense because the area I was putting it in was a common space area. And so you wouldn't have personalized audio. And because the hardware was the same, I figured, and Roku makes it easy to buy remotes. I could easily add a more sophisticated remote if I felt like I needed to. Paul, you were going to say something?
Yeah, question. Is there a subscription in addition to that $46 or?
No, that's what I've been so impressed with, what Roku has turned into, is that when you buy one of their devices, they provide a package of hundreds of channels they've worked out the licensing agreements for. They have advertising. But you can plug in one of these devices or turn on one of these TVs and just immediately start consuming content as soon as you connect it to your internet. You don't have to have a subscription to anything. You do have to have a Roku account, which means you've given them your email address. You have to do that with any Roku device. But you don't have to provide any payment method. You don't have to you don't have to buy your content through Roku. You can use those hundreds of free streaming channels, and you can put in your Netflix, your Hulu, your Pandora, whatever it is that you're running on your streaming stick.
That sounds better than the Fire Stick, because I look at Prime movies, and there's very little free movies. They're usually $12 or something like that to rent it.
Well, what you could do with the Fire Stick, and I also did with these Rokus, is you could install Plex and Pluto TV, and those are two more ways of getting at free movies, TV, and live shows, live streams. And so those are options. And then Amazon's trying to do a live TV section, similar to what Roku's done. It's much more cumbersome because what they do is they have a thing they call live TV, and then they suggest apps like I just did to be used for them. It's just not as seamless as what Roku's offering, and I really think the way Roku's doing it is it's a very successful model. I thought that they were starting to stumble. I think this might be the way that they go forward and be successful. Lots of channels, very fast too. The performance on this thing is amazing. You feel like you're just driving a TV set. You know, that click, 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 click kind of experience flipping through channels.
Sounds great, because Fire will allow me to watch an old I Love Lucy for only $6 or something like that.
Whereas Roku has like the oldies channel, and you could stream whatever they're playing. They have a guide and you can watch like the classic cable TV or satellite TV experience. Now, there is one thing that I thought was a little odd with these devices. I wonder if they've got a picture of it here on this. Here's the remote that comes with it. It's an infrared remote. This right here, this cable, if you guys can see this.
Yeah.
That is the wireless adapter and antenna. What that means is that if you don't have this USB cable, you cannot connect to the internet. So it's not your typical USB cable. It's a USB cable with an integrated Wi-Fi receiver, and without it, the stick is useless. Unlike the Fire TV sticks, where the Wi-Fi is integrated into the device, you can use any USB cable to power it. These Rokus, you have to use this very specific cable to power it.
That's part of the package.
It is part of the package, but as you can imagine, it's cable, so it'll suffer from the same kinds of cable problems you've had. I mean, fortunately, it sits behind your TV, so it doesn't get a lot of action, not like your cell phone. But you're still subject to those kinds of problems. The cable could break or get a short in it. You could grab the device thinking you're taking it with you and forget the cable behind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's... Now, the advantage of this, however, is that wireless device, you can bring it up and out from directly behind your TV set. Because it's on that cable, the Wi-Fi antenna can be lifted away from the back of the TV set, giving it better range and quality of connection. So I can see an advantage and a disadvantage too. I think the real big advantage for Roku is that if it breaks you or lost, you have to buy another one from them. But so far, I'm very happy with the device. Came with a power adapter I didn't need to use because I could just plug it into the USB on the back of our screen. I really feel like this is the whole concept that I used to talk about all the time. Dumb screen, dumb passive screen, bring the smart to it. When the smart stops being smart, you can remove it and upgrade the smart with another device. I am very pleased with the results. And $46, that's a great price. I don't think I paid quite that much for it. I'm thinking I paid $39.99 at the time. Disadvantages of Roku: if you're somebody living in San Carlos using TV, there isn't a Radiosity app for a Roku. There isn't a Kodi app for the Roku. But what these devices do support are casting. So if you wanted to run Kodi on your TV, their solution would be to put Kodi on your phone or Streamio on your phone and cast it over to the Roku device. So you're actually running those devices on it. You're running those services on a separate device, but then it gets intercepted by the screen you have the Roku connected to. I've done a little bit of that since I've been here. I've ended up with my buddies wanting to watch a show that they couldn't find on any of their services. And so I opened up Streamio or Kodi on my phone and then cast it to the screen that they have in their living room. And we were able to watch that show or movie from my phone across their big screen TV. It's a real thing that we're doing now. Is there anybody out there using Rokus right now in their world? I know Cheryl has a Roku TV, not quite happy with.
Well, we have a Roku that we don't use. I see that there's things on it, but we have the Fire Stick plugged in and it's on the same remote, so we just use it.
Yeah, I really like the Fire Stick 4K. I think that's a great piece of technology, especially when you're doing things like Kodi and Streamio. Those run exceptionally well on the Fire Stick. In the case, my newfound love of Roku really has to do with this concept of providing people with a real-time stream of channels, which maybe a lot of us don't even think about doing TV like that until we're in a motel situation or a hotel situation where we've come into the room and we've thrown our bag down and we sack out on the couch and we want to hit the power button and we don't know what we want to watch. We just want a stream of something. And it seems like that's the one thing that the Fire Stick hasn't figured out quite right. Because you have to use some third-party application that you set up yourself, it's cumbersome. And this Roku has really made that just a no-brainer, especially when it's Roku TVs, so that my guests can just hit a power button and all of a sudden they're looking at channel 1100, sci-fi, whatever, and there's a movie streaming immediately. I didn't think I liked Roku until I was trying to solve this problem. What was that, Paul?
No, that's right.
We've got a countdown in 2 minutes. I'm going to open up the next window here. I guess I'll have to do the same over here. Getting ready for the next meeting. All right, I'm in. We have under a minute to move over to the other meeting. I'm going to hang this meeting up and we'll meet in the next one. There's Paul. Chester.
I'm in.
All right.
I'm in. All right.
Carol.
Interesting. Your picture is flopped compared to mine. Reversed.
Oh, yeah, that's the way it came in. I'm
That's
sitting
strange.
across from you. See?
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
there you go.
Because actually, from my perspective, if you guys look at my screen, you guys look like you have the exact same background. Nothing's flopped.
Oh, really?
Oh,
You see my screen? You see how you guys are presenting
Yeah.
yourselves? It's exactly the same. Oh, what happened?
isn't that something? No, I just feel like I'm sitting across the table from him. So, you know,
Oh no, something
except
failed.
the same pictures behind us. Oh, that's strange.
How's your chilaquiles this morning?
That's Billy. I don't eat chilaquiles. So, bacon and eggs for me.
Is the ultimate leftover breakfast, you know, where you have chips from last night and some salsa from last night and you mix them.
We've never tried that, have we, Billy? We don't usually have leftover chilaquiles, but we.
Leftover chips, dear.
Leftover chips and enchilada sauce.
There you go.
Rojo or verde?
Of course, there's always some leftover refried beans. So
That's just crazy talk. There's no such thing.
Oh my gosh, my whole thing is frozen up again. We got all
we
the way
can
to
hear
this
you.
point, and all of a sudden, can you hear me?
yeah,
We can hear you, but can't see you.
Yeah, it's all messed up
in
for
the
some
dark.
reason.
You're in the dark.
Everything was working great until we switched meetings. Come on, do something.
That's how we can hear you.
Oh, this is horrible. What is going on? Why is it doing this?
There is a
It's
slight.
because it's Tuesday morning.
Yes.
There's a ghost of an image on the black field there.
I'm going to have to kill this
Oh, yeah.
software. Totally frozen for some reason. Sorry, guys. I thought I had resolved this problem. It sure left me alone for...
Hit the
Yeah, it is like a shadow.
What's really weird is it's obviously frozen up, but Windows doesn't think it's frozen up. Like... Oh.
While you're sorting that out, I'll talk about a book I just finished.
Please do, Chester.
It was very difficult to read because of the time not too long ago when they opened up the Russian archives, and this author was able to go in there and read a substantial amount of information concerning Stalin's life and his cohorts. But it was hard to read because of the Russian names, and finally had a prologue at the end of it where it discussed what happened to each one of them that survived Stalin. And it's very, very interesting if you like history.
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of it?
Let me go offline and I'll find it.
Okay. You don't have to go offline, but there he goes. All right. I think I'm back up and rolling again. Hopefully nothing freezes again. Something weird. Somebody's beeping. Who's beeping?
Billy's in the kitchen making lunch.
Not yet. But it was the microwave. I'm heating up my coffee.
Oh, all right.
And I forgot to turn the mic off.
So, hey, another thing I thought you guys might find interesting this morning popped up on Google Tech News is Carolina University's installation of their cluster. This is a blog post from their campus newspaper, North Carolina. And the article is just comparing the differences between the original UNIVAC 1105 to their new longleaf cluster supercomputer used for research. And I thought you guys would just appreciate, there's some pictures in here that I thought were really interesting, showing the difference. And there's some stats that were really interesting. This UNIVAC came in during the 1959. Basically, it was used during the 60s. Cost the equivalent of $24 million in today's money and weighed 19 tons. It had 5 megabytes of storage tape. Now you compare it to the longleaf cluster that they've recently put together being used for research. Cost $4 million, weighs 2 tons, and has 8 petabytes of hard drives. That's 1.6 billion times the storage of the original UNIVAC. Just some cool pictures and some cool history I thought you guys could appreciate.
I have, when I went to the university the first time, I did my programming on an IBM 36067.
Oh yeah.
And I have the pleasure of standing at the window, looking into the computer room, which is considered the mad scientist computer look, you know, the spinning tapes and the blinking lights, and the raised floor and conditioned air. So when the technician came to take your deck of cards, he lifted the window and it went shoot.
In this article, it talks about having to reinforce the floor to install the computer. They had to put steel beams in to reinforce the floor.
Well, in the computer, the 360, the IBM, they raised the floor, so they ran all the cables in underneath.
Yeah.
It was the floor was about a foot high, and it was sectional flooring, so they could pick it up and work on the tapes.
I've done both school and worked in offices where the raised floor and the original computers were still there. The original computer. I used to intern for the Department of Natural Resources in the Division of Oil and Gas here in Alaska. And they had an old computer in there that was so big they couldn't remove it. And so they just stacked the new computers on top of it. Chester,
I knew a technician that was working like where we lived or where I taught was there was a pulp mill right across the street, and they had raised floors up in the top offices where they had their computer stuff stored or working. And he said he went in to work on it. He was a technician. He went in to work and pulled up a couple of the raised floor panels, and there was all the floor hockey equipment that the guys would play with during the night shift. They had a complete set of floor hockey equipment.
Hey, Chester, did you figure out the name of your book?
Yeah, it's called Stalin, the Court of the Russian Tsar.
Stalin, the Court of the Russian Tsar.
I got it on Kindle, Amazon Kindle.
While we're on books, I found a couple that were pretty interesting. One is The War on the Border by Jeff Guinn, Guinn. And it's a story of the relationship between the United States and Mexico and how the borders changed and the attitudes changed. And it's really no wonder the Mexicans don't really trust the Americans.
Or anybody.
They got some pretty raw deals.
Yeah. What was the name of it again?
It's the War on the Border.
War on the Border.
It's about Pancho Villa Pershing in the Texas Rangers and the American invasion. Anyway, the other one, which was I found really interesting and a short read. Geronimo, story of his life. It's a guy had gone and interviewed, got permission from Geronimo to come and talk to him about his stories, and it's available online. You just search for it and it'll pop up. It's a very poor photocopy or whatever of the book, but it's very interesting to read. It's the Geronimo's story from his point of view. It was quite good.
Is it just called Geronimo?
No, Geronimo's story of his life.
Geronimo's story of his life.
In Mexico, remember the Alamo has an entirely different meaning.
Exactly.
Right.
Anyway, and that one, you just Google it, and it'll pop up, and it's a PDF you can just download and read. Like I say, it's the quality of the capture is not great, but it's a very quick. I think I read it in 1 or 2 afternoons, like a couple hours each time.
Story of his life. Oh wait, did you get it from Amazon? Yeah. Oh. I think I see it.
You're muted, Bill.
The Geronimo story is public domain, and you just search for it, and it'll pop up as a PDF somewhere out of some university.
Or hear me out.
Or,
you can pay $7.20 to Amazon and they'll give you a copy of it.
Oh no! Or you can go to Kindle and get it for free.
Yeah, it's free on Kindle.
But it's available free on just searching for it. That's how I found it. So it was mentioned somewhere on Facebook, and I just Googled it.
Il Biblio. Maybe that's
May 13th, you sent me an email.
Oh, there it is.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great because I can just stick a link in it right next to it. There you go. If you're looking for the Geronimo's story of his life, it's right in our document. A link that'll take you to the PDF that can be downloaded and read. $300-page book or $2.99. The man himself. Well, am I running out of topics? I do have 2 news topics that I thought were interesting. You know, all this we've taken away women's rights. There is an article that's floating around right now from Business Insider about how Meta, you know, the company that owns Facebook and owns WhatsApp and Messenger and Instagram, is deleting internal messages that mention abortion. I guess they don't want their staff organizing anything. But they basically banned their staff from having any open discussions of Roe versus Wade. Which I just thought was kind of interesting. You guys might find this article interesting. It's business, so they don't have to let their employees talk openly about stuff like that. It is a social network program, business though, so it seems a little counterintuitive to be shutting down internal discussions when they're happening on your platform in the outside world. It was probably just a decision made by an old white guy. Probably justification for it somewhere. Anyway, I found it interesting. Did you guys see that Amazon has promised to their staff, anyone that's doing work for them in an area where abortion has become illegal, that they will cover transportation and medical costs for your abortion? It's interesting. I heard some women, tech pundits, talking about it, going, it's the right optics, but it seems a little creepy that I might want to share that kind of stuff with my employer. But it is the genuinely correct political stance to take, and they've done that openly, saying that if you're living and working in a state where you can't get an abortion, then they will foot the bills to get you to a state that can give you an abortion. I just like these other people's opinions of what are you worried about Amazon knowing that you want an abortion? You have an Alexa in your house listening to every word you say. They probably already know you want to have an abortion to begin with. But I did understand the personal privacy issues that they were bringing up with it. It is the correct political stance. Where am I? This is the article. And staff from openly discussing. I wonder if they're helping. I wonder if they'll take a page from Amazon and help their employees go get an abortion while not allowing them to talk about it.
There's about 100 companies that are doing that.
Yeah, it's really an interesting shape that we're creating out of our culture. There's a lot of things, Chester, that I get frustrated with in the American culture. I think this idea of benefactors is a real problem in our country, where we forgive people that have made lots of money for the ways they made it because of the contributions they're considered to bring to our communities, like wings in hospitals and universities and libraries, and that's where the Kennedys and the Carnegie Mellons of the world have been able to, and the Bill Gateses most recently, have been able to clean up their reputations by having these foundations. I've always personally felt like we shouldn't need that kind of saving if we're functioning. If we're a functional community and we're taking care of each other and we're building a great society, then there wouldn't have to be this lone person contributing what they've been able to create to save us from some problem that's been created. And I kind of feel that way when I hear about these organizations. I think it is the right political standing in this climate to say whatever we can do to help. We don't agree with this goes against our beliefs. And at the same time, it's this kind of benefactor effect.
They're avoiding what you just said.
Yeah.
They are avoiding taking a side on it.
That's right.
Which would not be good for them to do for their own employees' sake. They're avoiding taking side. They're just offering this as a service. So I wouldn't take that they are supporting abortion. They're just supporting the employees.
Yeah, I tend to think you're right. That's they're more concerned about their image than anything else, and right now this is the right image.
I don't know about. Yeah, I like what Chester said, that they're not supporting abortion; they're supporting the right of their employees to choose and to have their say. And I don't think that by being pro-choice, I'm supporting abortion.
Right.
So I think that it gets very, 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 very confused and uncomfortable to have employees, to have friends, family, whatever, talking about it.
What
So,
burns me up, though, is the disinformation that's going out regarding the Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court decision was solely to take it back to the states where it belonged in the first place. But that's disinformation is rampant. And what can you do about it?
yeah, it's really pitting states against states and yeah, a divisive kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's a real difficult article. I mean, a difficult argument, because it seems like, because we're a federation and we've all agreed to be under it, then we've all agreed to protect people's rights in the same manner. And so that's what's happened here, is that protection was lifted.
That's not correct. First of all, what you said is not correct. What we have is a constitution that provides certain specific duties of the federal government. And it also provides that if there are other duties that arise that are not covered in the Constitution, they directly belong to the states. So much of what has been decided at the federal level doesn't belong there. It belongs by the states, which is by the Constitution.
Okay, I mean, I believe in what you just said, Chester, but at the same time, I thought the point of being a federation was that we had an encompassing set of like core values that the Constitution was instilling.
A federation means a representative government.
Right.
Instead of a democracy, you have a representative government, and a federation is what that means. And it doesn't mean the rights of anything. You have a Bill of Rights that covers that and a Constitution. Other than that, everything is left up to the states.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of that, Chester. And at the same time, I guess I see it from a different perspective. I see it as these states have joined this federation. This is part of the way that we've agreed to govern. You are welcome to succeed from it, but there is certain inalienable rights that we expect to see protected in all the states that are part of it.
No, that's not correct either. The states joined on the basis that the federal government would not take over what they considered their area of responsibility. And therefore, that's why the federal government's duties were specifically laid out in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And other than that, everything goes back to the states.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I grew up in the United States, and I agree with state rights, and I hear what you're saying. It just seems like there are certain things that, as our society expects to be across the board equal. And one of those is the autonomy of your body. And there are certain states that have worked very hard to take that away from people.
Well, that's their right. And that's the obligation that the Constitution provides. And that's why they joined the Union in the beginning, was because of those provisions. And over the decades, those provisions have been watered down on various different subjects. And we have now have a situation where they're kind of correct some of that, and the states are very glad.
This isn't by no means trying to get out of talking to you about this, but I am freezing. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm frozen again.
you're still presenting, so we see the
You see the presentation is working? That's good. It is not being recorded at all. But that's okay. In fact, I'm not going to touch it because I see the audio is still going out.
Well, I see you.
You see me? Am I moving around?
No, you're not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm completely frozen at the moment.
Yeah, you're not moving.
Yeah. And I'm worried that my recording is screwed up because last week's recording got screwed up, and so the only thing I've got to work on is what went out to the YouTube, and right now I see the audio is still going out to the YouTube, so I'm just letting it continue, even though it's all frozen up on my laptop.
Why don't you take off the attachment that you're showing and see if that helps?
Well, it won't because I'm doing it with two different computers.
Oh,
And so, yeah, if that computer's working just fine, it's the other one that's not. The one that's presenting me to the meeting is not working correctly for some reason. I thought I had
So
resolved
speaking
the
of
question.
last week,
Oh yeah, go
Scott,
ahead.
did you get our message last week that we weren't going to be able to join you?
I did. I got it at the last minute, but I did. We missed you. We talked about you.
Well, we were in British Columbia and on our way back to Alberta. But yeah, no, we took the motorhome out for a test run. We call it the shakedown, where we shook everything down, that's for sure. Saw what would sit and what wouldn't. But, figured out our mileage and all that fun stuff. So brought it back home, and now we're booking it in for all the repairs that it needs.
Oh, all right. Hopefully not too extensive.
No, we're not sure yet. So.
Well, do we have any more tech topics for today? We've kind of done some recommendations right through the meeting. I've been writing notes in the document.
I added the Umbrella Academy. We're watching the new season of the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, nice. We are as well. We've been binging it.
Yeah. And I watched a couple of other ones. I was trying to find what it was, but I can't see them right now. It's gone out of my brain. But
The Umbrella Academy, Chester.
you should go back and watch the first season. But it's a strange one, but it's interesting.
we just finished Polar Dark.
Poldark. Oh, yeah.
5 seasons.
What's it called?
Polar Dark.
Oh, don't know that one.
It's in early England, right after the American Revolution, but it takes place in England, and it's very well done.
Oh.
Enjoyed it very much.
Bill sent me one, a U.S. series, West, I think. What's it called? Dark Winds.
Dark Winds, yes. I've looked a little bit at it. It looks pretty interesting. It's a police type show on the Navajo reservation in the 70s. That's basically all I got.
Ah. Well, we'll wait until you've got a better review on it. Well, the only other thing I bring to the table is an article that I found, just a touchy-feely story about an iPhone 10 that was returned. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What'd you say, Cheryl?
I'm just laughing. I think this is funny that the iPhone was returned after 10 years, but that's okay.
When 10 months in a river, it was found. There's pictures of it there. And they had to do some sleuthing to try and figure out who it belonged to, but they were able to clean it up, dry it out, charge it up, and the home screen. They used that picture, the home screen, and social networks to try and figure out whose phone it was. Eventually, the owner was found. But talk about a great advertisement for an iPhone 10 to spend so much time in the water and still be recoverable.
Towards that end, my cameras and my cell phone, the first picture on it is a picture of my business card.
Oh, that's not a bad way to go. Oh, and to that end, remember the lost luggage? I'm still forgetting to take a picture of my bags before checking them, but it's a great advice to just take a picture of your luggage right before you check them at your gate, because that was the first thing that they needed when it was lost, was what's your luggage look like?
It's black.
Well, that's a good idea. And I think, well, it was at the photography club in San Carlos. One of the professional photographers in the group said that he has as his set photo, if his camera is lost or anything, it too is his business card. So he keeps it and he numbers it or names it or something so that it's the first one you see if you go to scroll through the pictures.
The other thing I do is my camera, it's probably worth about $1,000 or so. It's not a real expensive one, but I don't have a camera bag that says Nikon on it. I have a padded lunch bag that I keep my camera in, so that I can have it in my car or in the footwell or something like that, and not worry about somebody breaking my window for a $5 lunch.
Oh, right.
Trash bag is even better.
Well, but the padded lunch bag, it's insulated and padded for shock and stuff like that. So works out.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I have reached the end of my list of topics. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we call this meeting to an end?
I don't think so, but I have to announce that lunch is almost ready, Cheryl. And then we're off for appointments after this.
What are we having?
Are we all invited?
Cheese souffle, you betcha. Individual souffles.
Whoa.
Cheese souffle with his homemade sourdough bread.
Oh yeah, sourdough bread toast.
I went to make sourdough biscuits the other day, Bill, and I ended up with sourdough pucks.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how you go about sourdough biscuits.
That's for pond hockey.
Right?
Yeah.
Pond hockey, yeah.
Well, we've had some frisbees here with the sourdough loaves, but
Oh yeah.
we don't talk about them.
Every once in a while I get off schedule, and the other day I forgot that I was proofing it or letting it rise, and it pushed the top right off of the proofing bin I use. So it was not good. It was pretty much a frisbee.
My father, every once in a while, when he'd get home from work and decide to make a loaf of bread, and we'd get to eat it about 3 a.m.
Well, sourdough's a little better now because you can get it ready to go the day before, throw it in the fridge, and then first thing in the morning you drag it out and bake it.
Yeah,
You can have. It works really well that way.
yeah.
Well, guys, I think I'm going to say goodbye. I'm still frozen and hoping that all this is going to YouTube without a problem.
What do you expect? You're in Alaska. It's cold up there. Don't you have snow igloos and stuff just like us Canadians?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you need to get a passport if you're going to come up here.
Where do we change our money?
Well, I'll change it for you. Come to the bed and breakfast, the Anchorage Walkabout Town Bed and Breakfast, and I'll change it into Scott bucks or bed and
there
breakfast
you go,
bucks.
Scott bucks.
Because I have a lot of pesos I need to change.
That's right.
Okay, I'm out of here. Tech
All
on.
right, you guys.
All right.
Tech on
Bye.
till next Tuesday. This has been the San Carlos Computer Club having technical difficulties once again. Glad you could join us, and we will see you next week. Paul, we will see you next week.
For a short time, I have an appointment at 11. So anyway, I'll sign on
All right.
next week. Bye now.
Bye-bye. All right, and that's it. I'm out of here. They disappointed. Can't unfreeze, but I guess that's what it is. Till next Tuesday, tech on.